Good morning, Year 6, and welcome to Tuesday the 9th of February's literacy lesson. Okay, first things first, today, can you open your book and write the date, Tuesday the 9th of February in the top right corner, and the learning objective to write facts, just like this in your book. Thank you. Pause the video while you do that. Okay, so today we are going to be writing facts about our newly discovered species. Now, last week we wrote facts about different species, well, different animals on the Galapagos Islands. Today we obviously haven't got that non-chronological report because it's not been written yet, as you are the first person to discover this animal. So you will need to create all of the facts from your memory. Okay, so just to remind you, as one of the first people to explore the island of Leopitia, you encounter a scientific jackpot, a discovery of a new species of animal. So we've drawn our new species and labelled its physical features. That was yesterday's work. So just to remind you of mine was the Leopitian sand chameleon, and then all of its different features should be labelled, so you should have already done that. Today we're going to consider the next three things: its habitat, its diet and hunting, and any unique adaptations it has for survival or hunting. Okay, so the ones that I'll show you today will be the sand chameleon's diet. So the first thing we need to think about is the animal an omnivore, well, a herbivore, so does it eat plants? An omnivore, does it eat plants and animals? Or just a carnivore, so it just eats animals, doesn't eat any plants whatsoever? What its main source of food is and where it finds it, and how much food it requires and how often it needs to feed. I think, yeah, there we go. Actually, yeah, we'll just keep it to those three at the moment. So just a little reminder, if you decided to do the large animal, or the large animal in the sea, or the large bird, the larger animals need a lot of energy, so they need to feed quite often, okay, especially if they move around a lot as well. Fast animals, like the small lizard that nobody could see, that would need a lot of energy to move fast. Slow-moving animals, such as the sand chameleon, might need less energy, so they might be able to go for a long time without eating or drinking anything. Okay? Right, so I'm going to flip between this screen and my book. So first thing I've put there is observations of the Leopitian sand chameleon's diet as my subheading. So the first thing I'm going to write, and it is just writing facts, so just write this in note form. So I'm just going to put, it is omnivorous. So it mainly eats seaweed and sea kelp. And then I'm going to put, as another bullet point, occasionally, a comma there, it will eat crustaceans, so crabs and the like. It will eat crustaceans and can even take down a fur seal, if it catches it, obviously. Okay, so that's that first one. Let's just go back and remind it. So its main source of food there. So main source of food is, now you could do your own little bit of research. So I said seaweed, so let's have a look at this. Let's see if we can put, as it's got to sound very scientific, types of seaweed. Google's been listening to me. Types of seaweed. Oh wow, it's interesting, isn't it? Oh, should we say, oh, I quite like the idea of it being golden algae, or kombu. That sounds quite funny. So let's go with that. Let's go with kombu. So its main source of food is kombu, seaweed, and golden algae. Just change that to a capital. Kombu, seaweed, and golden algae, which grows around the island. Okay, so we've got that bit there. So let's go back now to, no, not that. Let's go back. How much food does it require and how often does it need to feed? Well, you'll remember in the original discovery report, so when I say that I mean this. Remember particularly this unknown aggressive marine reptile inhabits the beach, and it was very good at camouflaging, but it's described as slow moving. So as this is a slow moving animal, it probably doesn't need lots and lots of energy. So how often does it need to feed? How much food does it require? And how often does it need to feed? So I'm going to make this similar to the giant tortoise, so, but probably not as long. So I'm just going to call it the LSC, the Leopitian sand chameleon, to save me writing it all out. Sand chameleon can last without food for up to 6 months. Okay, so it can last without food for up to 6 months only if it has fed on meat beforehand. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about how it gets its water. So the LSC doesn't appear to drink fresh water but filters seawater instead. And then I'm going to put mainly from feeding in the ocean, similar to the marine iguana from last week. Okay, right, so really you're aiming for, and the more facts you've got the better, because the easier it will be to write this in the non-chronological report. Okay, so just follow the questions. So the next one that I'm going to do, so what you might want to do is pause the video and answer that for yourself. Okay, and so the next one now is observations of your animals' hunting and foraging habits. So if it is a herbivore, it would forage for food. If it's a carnivore, it would hunt for food. Hunting involves getting other animals. Foraging involves finding plants and things to eat. Okay, so underneath your first section, you would write observations of the, rather than abbreviate this time, put it like this, Leopitian sand chameleons hunting and foraging habits. Okay, and then you get your ruler, which I've temporarily lost. There it is. Underline it. And then you look at these. So this time then, and I'll maybe just do this one and then let you carry on the rest yourselves. So if it's a herbivore, how, where and what does it forage, and what adaptations help it forage? Okay, so the only thing I can think of that would be a herbivore would be the lizard, the fast-moving lizard, or possibly birds actually. No, keep birds carnivores, I'd say. So the fast-moving lizard, if it's a herbivore, it needs a lot of energy, and what does it forage? So it would definitely forage fruit. So there'd have to be somewhere on the island where fruit trees would grow and these lizards would live on fruit. Perhaps it's omnivorous, so it's like ours, like the one I'm writing about, the Leopardian sand chameleon. So as it is herbivorous and carnivorous at the same time, we have to write about what it forages and then what it hunts and how it hunts and kills it. Okay. Obviously, if yours is just a carnivore, you would write about what it hunts, where it hunts around the island, and how it kills and eats or consumes its prey. So remember in the Discovery report, the animals were described with different things. So the marine reptile caused massive blood poisoning. The territorial birds had extremely sharp talons. This we've already discussed about being incredibly fast, so we need a lot of food. And then this animal caused lots of waves, had incredibly big claws, but it must be a big animal, so it would need to eat an awful lot. So one of the ideas I had for this was perhaps it could be cannibalistic, which means that it eats its own species, which would be quite interesting if anybody would like to impress me by writing about that. So back to this. So obviously mine is a herbivore. Just check the time we've got. Yeah. Obviously mine is an omnivore. So I'm going to put it forages for golden algae in rock pools at low tide. Okay, so that's when the sea has gone out. So, and then I'm going to put forages for kombu seaweed at high tide. Just remind myself of what to write there. So, what adaptations help it forage? So, I'm going to put it has sharp, strong claws to grip the rocks, and I'm just going to put a little dash to stop it floating away. So it keeps it in one place, and I'm just going to put in bracket anchors. That's a better word, and stops it floating away. Sharp, strong claws to grip the rocks. And what else? Well, it have to have very strong teeth as well. So I'm going to put strong, needle-like teeth to scrape algae off the rocks. Okay, so that's very much its herbivorous side. So carnivorous side. Okay, now at this point I want to mention the poison. Now back here yesterday I put that it has poison sacs. Okay, and it's got special glands which creates a fast-acting poison. So hunting, as it's got chromatophoric skin, so it blends in. So I'm going to put that chromatophoric skin means it can sneak up on prey. And at this point I'm going to put fur seals. What else could we have in the water? There wouldn't be any Galapagos penguins there. Let's put dolphins as well. Dolphins, fish. Oh yeah, I'll tell you what, make it scary. Let's put sharks as well. So it means it can sneak up on prey undetected. Another bullet point. It has specialized glands which make a fast acting poison that paralyzes prey. In the water. So it doesn't if they're on land. So the prey sinks and drowns because it won't be able to move. And then the Leopitian Sankamelian, the LSC, oh, just realised you can't see what I'm writing, let's just change that slightly. The LSC eats it. There we go. Let's change eats it to consumes it on the seabed. Alright, there we go. Right, so just while you've got that, I've mentioned the poison and the camouflage. Okay, so pause the video and write your section. Okay. And next bit that you need to do is write about your observations of the habitat. So you'd need to write another subheading underneath and then answer the question, where does it live and why? Does it nest with other creatures of the same species? That's called cohabitation. Or does it share a nest with a different species? That's a symbiotic relationship. Two bits of scientific vocabulary to definitely get in. Is it territorial? If you go near its nest or its home, does it fiercely guard it and get very aggressive? And why is it like this? And then finally, does it create its home or find it naturally? So some birds, for example, will not ever make a nest, but they'll steal other birds' nests instead. Okay. The last thing that you need to write about is the observations of the unique adaptations. Okay. So can it survive on water and land? How and what has it evolved to do this? Can it move quickly? How? Is it poisonous? Poison hounds, apparently. Is it poisonous? How and what makes it poisonous? I don't know why that says poison hounds, I'm very sorry. Does it have any extra limbs? And what are the purpose of these? For example, the lizard with wings or shark with talons. Okay. The challenge today is to try and make your facts all interlink. So, for example, you wouldn't have a marine reptile that eats polar bears as the island is in the Pacific. So you have to really consider the location and that all your facts actually link to your animal that you made yesterday. So, for example, mine has the poison Sacs there with its poison teeth. I didn't mention its poison tail, however. I probably should have mentioned that. Probably should. I didn't mention it biting it, or yeah, I'd probably add that in there. Slight mistake from me there. I'd put about its razor sharp talons there, and about anything else that your creature has got. Anything that you put in here that it has, you need to write about today, and you need to give it a purpose. Okay. So please try and make all of your facts link up, because then your non-chronological report will sound extremely scientific. Okay, right. Good luck, Year 6, and of course, if there are any issues, send the Year 6 email. Send the Year 6 email address and email, and me or Miss Frost will respond this week. Okay, good luck, and see you tomorrow.